your estimate of number of Kenyans who need social housing at the moment, just to get a sense of what percentage we're talking about. You know, if you cater for 100,000 social housing units, so how many are sort of left?
One of the problems we face is not only that the houses are few. No. The biggest problems are two. One, the culture of landlordism, where people don't see houses as consumable for fulfilling the idea of the right in Article 43 alone, but people see houses more as investments. And unless the government intervenes to reverse that culture of landlordism, then we will not win.
I think when you were doing the presentation, you mentioned that high-rise is not a solution for social housing. I think you did mention that when you were doing the presentation. And I would want you to maybe clarify, because looking at even the kind of densities that we have in our informal settlements, if we are really going to focus on housing in the informal settlements, then how do we avoid the issue of high-rise?
Just as I was going through the report, I was able to notice that there seems to be a vacuum in regard to the legal framework, the housing policy, at the national level, which is actually worrying. Because looking at all this, even as we look at housing in being amongst the big four, the four pillars, the government plays the facilitative role. And it all starts with what's the legislative framework, because that is what is going to guide all these other activities. For you to come up with a structural framework that can be entrenched, then you need a formidable legislative framework as well as relevant regulations to guide this.
You spoke to the use of cooperatives as a means of delivering housing, but I think what we lack in this country actually is a clearly defined model of housing cooperatives. Because what is emerging for me is a blend between SACCOs and housing cooperatives. And when you look at the principles of cooperatives, actually SACCOs do not adhere to most of those principles in terms of equality, in terms of ownership. So I think for me in your report, possibly you would, if it's possible, to suggest a definite model that can promote equality, because for me the SACCO model promotes inequality, and also it actually makes housing as a good, a social good, and not housing as a right. And when we look at the target group we are talking about, it is a group that actually needs housing. So there's that aspect of commercialization of housing. So I think it would be interesting if some kind of model that can really work for the people that we are talking about is promoted. And I think we have those models that have been tried here in Kenya and has worked.
The problem started in the early 1960s. And this is because of the systems which were created to help the housing development were not protected. So it was left for the private developers to deal with the issue of housing. And the other thing is the National Housing Corporation was not doing houses for the poor. It has been doing houses for the rich, which now creates room for the structure owners to enjoy the shortage of housing. And that's why we have more slums. For example, in Kibera, those structures are now coming up. They are building up ground plus one, which is also creating a conflict within the informal settlement. Once you put your house into ground plus one, the neighboring house, maybe it will never go up. Because of the floor, you create upstairs. So it takes the space of the other structure. So to me, what I see is that if the government has realized that there is a need to deal with the issue of housing, we must treat the informal settlements. They must have a very good mechanism that will control and help all the counties to do the housing program, not the projects, housing programs.